Morning, folks.
Hey,
How you doing, Luigi?
Hello,
Hello, Alex.
hi Alex.
how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you.
We're one of the few who have not taken
Yes,
Wednesday.
yes. Michael, you're in US, right? Just want to make
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
A lot of people in US might take a half
Oh
day.
yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I kind of make gross and awful assumptions.
Yeah, exactly. I was wondering because sometimes you have a call for the Asia Pacific, so it's like maybe he's working in Japan.
No, I'm trying to be a good global.
Yes.
Inclusive.
Yep, you are. All right. Luigi, how are you?
I'm fine. Yeah, I mean, the Q4 is almost done now, so I am
Yeah.
just waiting for the vacation, honestly.
Oh, okay.
But
Great.
yeah, but I'm good. I mean, at least I come back to work on OpenSSF security insights, but I can share updates today. So
All right. Good. Speaking of those, anyone going to, I think it was OpenSSF in Japan in December?
unfortunately, no. I will try to join to attend an online conference, Open Security Summit something, because I have seen that. I mean, for sure there is Bitwarden is in some way involved in this event, and there are some good speakers. So I don't remember the name of the event. I can share. But yes, just because I am a Bitwarden user, so sometimes I monitor their website. Open Source Security Summit. Very generic name for an event about open source, honestly.
So some of my colleagues in Japan is attending Open Source Summit Japan, December 4th, which is I think after next, and there's a Colo event for OpenSSF, I think.
That's
So,
good.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I could go. I just travel budget is like
Very
so.
yeah. Yep. Same here. I got to go to the Open Source Summit in financial sector in December 8th. So it's my local event in New York City.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Hello, David.
David, how are you?
Hello there. I hope everyone's doing well.
Yes.
Christine, Wendell.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
Cool. So welcome everybody. I think this might be all we have today. I'm expecting a bunch of folks in the US to have started turn things into a 5-day weekend. So that's all good. If you have anything you'd like to talk about, we can certainly please add it to the agenda and we'll make sure we talk about it. I have 2 things that I wanted to cover today, and then we have project updates and the usual go around. I apologize. I'm like 2 octaves lower, my voice. My kids brought home the plague. So it's all good. So, so the 2 things I want to talk about. One, we need to get content over to Jennifer Bly for the OpenSSF annual report. It is up to 500 words on basically the purpose of the working group, what we do, what our accomplishments were in 2022, and what we want to do going forward. So there is content in the meeting notes. What I'm hoping is that we can spend like 15 minutes and just knock this out together. I started some things in there, but please, let's just maybe all collaborate and simultaneously edit, and we'll just do the group thing there. So the sections there are the ones that they asked for. I don't see any like photos or charts or graphs or even like quotes being super relevant for the stuff we've been doing. So we can just kind of go with that, and don't worry about formatting or anything like that. It's just all going to go to creative services, and they're going to, you know, do it for reals. So. Does that make sense for everybody? And it should be anything that we've either done in 2022, which is like everything we can think of is probably stuff that we've done in 2022. And for the what's next, things that we either like I really think we're going to do, or can be a little forward thinking. So, and if we go over 500 words, don't worry, we'll like, you know, combine words or like play games to make it all work.
Yep. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, Michael, but I tried to add Russell's to the security reviews and got blocked on some check.
I will take care of it.
Okay, there was one block, and it didn't like it when I just gave the company name. It wanted the particular person, so I found one, and then it blocked again, and I couldn't decipher the error message. My apologies.
No worries at all.
You know, maybe we should just first, metrics dashboard provides, okay, explain what it is and then give the status. So, so start with security reviews, collects, blah, 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 and then say like that.
It works for me.
To enable easily finding this information. We published and whatever. Yeah, how are we going to describe security insights?
I I can add the description. Where is the tool?
Okay, yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah. Wait a second. I should have the Yeah, I have editor privilege. Wait.
Something like that.
If I express information regarding. Feel free to correct my English or grammar. I need to adapt this. 12. Okay. Oops.
Yeah. Do a control, a shift control V or shift command V when you paste it in, because otherwise, there you go. Oh, there was a
Yeah,
weird
exactly.
font miss.
Further vector offenses maintains to express information regarding security posture practice in place.
Yeah, do we
the
want the
project.
security review video? I don't even know what this video walkthrough is about.
We can kill it. It's an order of magnitude less important than the others. So gone. But
Okay.
it was the one where we do a security review interactively, like, and record it and record the thought process and whatnot. But
Got it. All right. And presumably, Alpha Omega is going to be reported separately. We're not going to talk about that here.
Yep.
All right. What do we want to say about office hours? I'll have to, I think we tried and frankly didn't get a lot of, so we tried it. Did we have, we gave up, nobody came, basically, correct?
Yes. Well, we did everything, but when no one signed up, there was nobody that could come. So, yes, we canceled it. But
well, it's not that nobody was offering help; it's that nobody asked for help.
Right.
We attempted. I don't know. If we're gonna say something, we ought to say something. We scheduled, a forum, but in spite of press. All right, let me just be honest, and we may decide to just kill it, but in spite of significant publicity, no one.
I don't know that I think the problem was that it didn't have significant publicity. It was like one tweet. No,
that's not true. I posted, other people posted. Granted, the people that I post to are probably the least likely to show up at one of these things.
Yeah.
We our first. All right, so let's we schedule our first effort at scheduling a forum didn't have any registration. Registrants, which suggests the need for significant publicity. I just lead time and publicity for potential success. All right, now that I've written it directly, let's try to write it nicely.
How about that? I was editing along the head of it, so how's that look?
We believe this suggests that the first session didn't have which suggests to us the need for all right.
Do you want to remove that potential success or just say suggest this?
Yeah. Sure.
Let's see.
Yep, I got it. about
Yeah, just, yeah,
that. I guess we gotta pay for the word.
Yeah, I guess the question is, do we even want to hype? I mean, that mean we did something.
I think we put a lot of work into, yeah, I mean, I think.
Yeah,
that we
okay,
should-
fair
we
enough.
should
You know what?
Celebrate our failures the same as the successes, like.
Yeah, okay.
This is hard.
yeah, because we could also always say something like, we were gonna try it a few more times with more lead time and publicity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say, and publicity targeted at
Right.
potential potential requesters.
Yep.
Do we have links yet for things like virtual maintainer summit so the people who read this can potentially like a call to action, like sign up? to
No, I
early?
think for that, I think I just linked to the Slack channel, because particularly for virtual maintainer summit, it's a closed invite only
Oh, that's
thing.
true.
You know, it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because if I was reading it, I might want to know what do I need to take with what's next. Is that
Oh,
call to action?
Yeah.
yeah. I think we will probably, yeah, this was discussed before, right? Because this is more like a POC trial. We want to test it and then, you know, disclose the outcome maybe and see if this format would be valid, right? The action item that we are asking for community is, I think, you know, help reach out to panel candidates and also sticking for moderators. And we are working to create a like survey form as well. So maybe there's something we are sticking for some action items. And you're welcome to join our next call next week.
So let's see, so.
Some of those are in just Christine, I just copied and pasted from Slack channel all the documentations, meeting notes.
Oh, perfect. So maybe that first one that, sorry, the second one, Summit Jan 2023, is that something that?
It's still working in progress. That's the if you're looking for event information, this is the slide
Okay.
that we are working on.
But it's okay if I make that, if that becomes public, that link.
When you say public, the report.
It'll be in the report. So if somebody clicks on it.
So, yeah, it's still working in progress. The slide has names that we haven't reached out yet. So maybe
Got it.
maybe once we have it final, you know, count, then yes. So, but for now, it's still working.
By the way, weren't the automated checks for security reviews implemented this year?
Automated checks for security reviews. So what do you mean by that?
The little script that checks the security reviews proposals. I thought that was done in 2022. Am I correct? Or was that earlier?
You mean like the little, like the bills
script.
validator
Yeah,
mob?
the script that I'm whining about.
Oh, no, that was probably before 2022, but either way, that's like a crude implementation detail.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what this group can claim credit for. Okay, scripts. Yeah, let's see here. No, everything is 10 months ago. Oh, I guess that's history. Yeah, let's look at the history here. Fixing validator was. All right, I guess there were. All right, I guess there was stuff in 2021, looks like anyway. Cleaning up directory structure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's 2021. Fair enough. I'm just looking for stuff to fill in here. I still don't know what N is.
You still don't know what is?
N is.
Oh, yeah, that's that should be easy enough to fill in. Let me see how many words we're at. Really? Yeah, a lot more words we can write.
All right, so I want to ask Git everything done in every file that was added in 2022 under security reviews. Seems like something I should be able to do.
Alex, you have already. Oh, sorry, my voice. Alex, in the slide with event info about the virtual summit, have you or someone has contacted already the maintainers of the project, or you should start?
We haven't officially, I think, because we want to have a like a formal request letter ready, and along with the survey, the nomination. Excuse me. That we work with the Linux Foundation event team on a nomination request so that we don't expose their email, right? So
Yeah.
through that, I think this week was short week because some folks are in holiday. So next week we'll finalize it and reach out to them.
Okay.
You can see some of those panelist candidates. If you have any suggestions, I think now I was going to also consult with a tech meeting about this. I don't know if we had it already or not, but open to suggestions.
I mean, and the list of the critical open source project is crazy. I mean, I remember that list, but when we prepared, I mean, when Michael started to prepare it, but From all that project, I know just one maintainer that is one of the bubble maintainer. That is a very young person, and
Yeah, if you, yeah.
I
that'd be
can
great.
say about. Okay, I mean, for sure, he is one of the 3 or 4 main maintainers of Bubble. So if you check the repo, you can see his commit. But I can let him if he want to join. I think so, honestly, because sometimes we have some meeting in person in Turin, and we talk about security. So he's a nice
Okay.
person.
Yeah, it will definitely help, if we know, if you have someone who knows them, try to have a relationship with. For
Okay.
example, I'm gonna reach out to, to Matthew for the Ansible side. And
Okay.
some other people have some context too, so but definitely will help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about where this is now. Other than filling in N. Does anybody not feel good about this? Cool. So we'll fill in N, we'll get this over to Jennifer, and then we'll get a we'll probably get a we will get a copy back before it goes, it gets published. So if anything changes, we can, edit a little bit. Awesome, thank you, folks. Appreciate that. Next thing I wanted to talk about, I wanted to do, if it's all right with y'all, do a less hand wavy pitch for the assurance assertions. So let me see if I can do this.
Ooh.
Cool, does that work? Awesome. Okay, so we're talking about I really need a better name. Assurance assertions, just the short name version of that, it's just terrible. So we have to figure something out.
By the way, I just FYI while you're up, I have just run a get command to give you the list of the. There are 104 new reviews.
Awesome. Would someone mind throwing 104 in place of N in the doc?
Yep. And I'm going to post the script to justify that number while you tell us about all this goodness. So please do carry on. I just wanted you to know that we have there are answers to your questions.
Love them. Okay, so assurance assertions, motivating. I was trying to put together something that would be catchy. So essentially, the organizations want to know what open source they're using. Right now, they rely pretty much exclusively on CVEs or CVE-ish things as an indicator, licensing aside, and but when asked harder questions like how do you know it's safe, it is usually hand waves and stuff, and certain things like SigStore for integrity and Salsa and things like that address certain parts of the equation, and I think what we're talking about here is a way to tie some of those things together, but also supplement with things that I'm not aware of anybody else working on. So this third cartoon thing, the organization has a set of policies that we use to check every piece of open source we use. We make sure it's maintained, it doesn't have vulnerabilities, it doesn't do weird things like roll its own crypto. And I think those are 3 kind of interesting examples of some organizations do 1, some do 2, but I don't think anyone does all 3 of those types of things. So our mission of assurance assertions is to provide stakeholders consumable data that describes the security quality of the open source software they use. Now, there's nothing about this that is open source specific. That just happens to be the target. It does, it'll work on anything. The vision we have is that stakeholders, meaning consumers of open source, so users, developers, organizations, whatever, can do this efficiently and informed, and they can make decisions about which projects they use, and understand what risk they carry, when they're using it. So we want this to be objective, and extensible, and lots of other things. So context, most open source has never gone any kind of security validation. When it does, in the best scenario, well, in the best realistic scenario, those validations take place privately. Things like the security reviews repo is one of the contraindicators of that, but for the most part, it's privately. It's not consumable. It's not in a readily accessible format or anything. It means that consumers either rely on super coarse metrics like CVEs, or just wish, or I suppose sometimes like you can outsource this to a vendor that provides some level of assurance. The problem is that this stuff is very expensive. Having 12 organizations all doing the same work is a waste of 11 organizations' time and money. It's inefficient. It's rarely done in practice. We need to do better. So having a methodology and a public implementation for generating assertions, storing them, querying them, consuming them, meaning running policy against them, makes this easier for everyone. So it will reduce the likelihood. Well, actually, this one I'm probably going to take this one out. I'm not really sure about the second one, but what I think we want to avoid is a place where regulations come into existence that say every organization needs to do a code review of every piece of open source they use. Laws are fickle. There's no reason why a law like that could not be created. That would be terrible. But so having something like this where you can say, I, as a consuming organization, everything that I do, I have these policies, meaning these like technical policies that are, and every piece of open source I use is validated against those, means that you can make the argument that is a commercially reasonable action that you're taking to address this risk. OpenSSF seems like a reasonable organization to drive this. I can't think of any other organization that would make sense to do this publicly. So what does this actually look like? So, well, actually, no. The goals, and this is where we get more concrete. We're going to analyze a lot of open source projects using automated tools. We're going to create an assertion based on the results of that analysis, essentially describing in a consumable way what those results were. Sometimes those are the precise results. This thing was reproducible, or it was not reproducible. Sometimes it has these CVEs. Sometimes it's aggregate results. I ran CodeQL and I found 3 critical findings. Not necessarily a vulnerability, but at least a finding. We will have a process for continuous scanning and rescanning. This stuff has to be kept up to date. We'll provide a reference implementation for generating those assertions, for storing them, for consuming them, basically the whole kind of end-to-end package. We will run an instance of that and make it available for anyone with a using our reference consuming implementation to set up a policy or to run a policy that we provide them that says like all packages have to be actively maintained. So in a CLI, you just say like, is Django actively maintained? Yes. Cool, great, and move on and all that. So the assertions themselves are just JSON. They're consumable by anything. There's no like weird magic infrastructure you need to have. Anyone can generate their own assertions. They can store them privately. They can run their own policies. They can run their own policy engine. Nothing about this is this is a spec and a reference implementation, and not a the only system for this. Nothing about this is private. So we want to see like, how do we know that any of this will be effective? And I don't love these KPIs, but I think they're something. So we want to see how many projects can we generate at least one assertion for. We want lots of assertions available because every assertion is a piece of information that a decision could be made off of. And we want organizations to be using this. If we just generate this ourselves and nobody uses it, well, it can be great, but not impactful. So we want, you know, we want these assertions to be consumed, and we want folks from outside to be contributing to either the reference implementation or their own set of policies or their own registries of assertions. You know, we can kind of map the assertions and the policies that we provide at least to things like SSDF and other requirements. So if SSDF says you have to do foo, if we can measure whether or not you did foo and then have a policy that says you have to do foo, you combine that all together and you can say that through this system, the open source that is evaluated complies with, in the best case, SSDF. And I'm going to hand wave and say there are lots of things that won't be measurable, so that'll always be a partial coverage. So we have a very high level roadmap. So between now and January, I want to get buy-in on the concept, generate some initial assertion types, make sure that there's an end-to-end, you know, POC that works, scan about 1,000 projects, and you know, and then start to engage OpenSSF more broadly, get some public feedback, iterate, talk about this, and then in the new year, expand it out to, you know, I don't know, 10,000 projects, 100,000 projects. Like at some point, it's just CPU. But then gather feedback and iterate. What I'd like to do is I'd like to get this to like what we feel good about, like a 0.8 version release by that, like, you know, the April-ish timeframe, and then figure out like what does the full like V1 release look like. You know, in terms of, you know, everything that SIG store had to think about, you know, as they in prep for them going to 1.0, we would have to do the same. So sample assertions, just some example, you know, subject is vulnerable to these CVEs, it's actively maintained, aggregate tool findings, it implements crypto, it has Perl source code, anything that you can in a fully automated way extrapolate a fact about a thing can be an assertion. So this is an example of an assertion, and it's, you know, in two parts, which embeds the scorecard data for one particular GitHub repo in it. So you can then have a policy that says for all, you know, for a given subject package, whatever, I want to, you know, I want that I don't know, branch protection needs to be greater than a 7, because I know that means something in based off the scorecards. So this project would fail that policy because branch protection is 0. Or, you know, pin dependencies has to be greater than or equal to 7, and it would pass because it's equal to 7. So that's kind of what it looks like. It is just JSON. So we have a handful of policies that we've implemented. We can make these as complicated as you want. The workflow in the architecture is, you know, you get a package, it goes into the black box, does some analysis, assertions get spit out. The assertion may have the evidence embedded, may be referenced, may not have it at all. It doesn't really matter. It goes to an assertion store, and then you run a policy against it. So we made some choices. The reference implementation is like vanilla Python, nothing special. Some tools are needed to generate the assertions. So like we have the Omega Analyzer, which is Docker container. we run open policy agents. You need that binary if you're going to run those types of policies. We right now store things either in a local SQLite database, which is like not super helpful, or a local file directory, which in theory you can push to GitHub, but I ran into some challenges. So I think that's not going to be really the way forward. So we'd have to run some sort of a service with an API that gets and puts. So we have that all that is right now sitting in a pull request in Alpha Omega. We're continuing to iterate on that. So really, 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 really important about this. Trust is provided by the consumer, not the system. So while we, OpenSSF or Alpha Omega or whoever, will generate some assertions, no one is required to trust them. Any organization can generate assertions. You can make them publicly available, throw them in a repo, throw them in any of the kind of connectors that we'll have, or keep it private. Like it doesn't really matter. The only thing that's important is that the consumer of those assertions can get to them. While we'll also provide a reference set of policies, no one's required to use them. Any organization can create their own policies, evaluate any of the assertions that they physically have access to. You can even have a commingled public assertion store, and through the magic of signing, you can trust some assertions and not others. So there's nothing that would prevent us technically from having a public API endpoint that anybody can submit assertions to, and then you as a consumer can decide which organizations, which keys, and waving hands like we need to figure this out, which ones to trust and which ones not to trust. So what I would imagine is for NPM left pad, after some time of using this, there will be hundreds of assertions that have made various claims about that project. You will trust some of those, and based off of the ones that you trust, your policies will either evaluate to like true, false, or like I don't have an assertion for that, so I can't. Unknown, I guess. So it's intended to be super flexible there, and simple. The API surface is also like really simple. You generate an assertion against NPM Express. You put it in this directory. The assertion that you're trying to generate is a security advisory assertion, which is it is the implementation of that happens to go out to like deps.dev and look for CVEs, but you can provide your own, and then you have a signing a signing key, and then on the consumption, and then you can obviously like wrap that up and run lots of assertions on the same package instead. So we provide that as well. And then on the consumption part, it's the same. It's basically the same thing. You consume, your subject is NPM Express. This is your repository directory or connector or whatever. Which policies do you want to run? And then obviously the trust, however you express trust would be that last option. And then the results of that will be policy X fail, policy Y pass, policy Z not enough information, and then you can, as an organization, you can do whatever you want with them. So next steps, let's see, is this useful? Is this something that would actually be used in practice? What would it be used for? Are there key parts of this that are completely missing? Look, people try it out and all that and contribute and all that. So at this point, we're still in the early incubation of this, but I'm optimistic that we can make it real in 2023. So thoughts?
Oh, this is great. Can I ask one question?
Absolutely.
Do you see the assertion parts that that the consumers or users are going to select? Do you see any possibility that a vendor or a company kind of scrub it or filter it and make their own version of recommended, those set, like
Yep,
becoming like a
absolutely.
certificate authority. Yeah, like CA managing certificates, right?
Yep.
Blessing.
Yeah, so what I would say is we need to think a little bit about how to do like hierarchical like policy overlays, or I don't know how to describe it, but like, so imagine like we have a public assertion that says what would we say? We would say we ran code QL and we found four command injection vulnerabilities. Now, because it's untriaged, like it's a data point, but like I don't know if you want to make a decision based off that. And we're certainly not going to provide the raw results in the public data set. So we'll just have like potentially critical four. For your organization, you may run a similar tool chain running CodeQL or anything else against the project and include the raw details, or filter out and say, like, you know what, I don't really care about command injection, but SQL injection I really care about. So that's the only one that I'm going to index on. So you'll have a separate assertion that kind of like deletes the public one, and then your policy can say either I only trust things from your organization, or I only care about things about SQL injection or anything else like that. So I do absolutely see private organizations running their own repository that they could run whatever tools they want on it, and you can even provide a manual assertion, with like arbitrary stuff, and then make decisions based off of that. I hope that more things are published centrally, because it reduces the need for lots of organizations to be doing the same work. But I think it's inevitable that organizations will do that. Luigi?
Mute. Okay. My question is, you said in an example that you can run CodeQL to find vulnerabilities, and so that is great. But my question is, there is the risk that we can penalize, maybe indirectly, popular or big enough open source projects that are written in not so common languages or not so popular languages. I don't know. I suspect, I have no data, but I'm quite sure that for new popular languages like Rust, Clojure, or similar, we have less tool. Sometimes they are just wrapper or improvement of all languages. For example, also Kotlin can be a good example, even if now we have more tool for Kotlin, but we risk to create better result for all languages like Java and C, because we have more tool, or we have a plan to balance this risk.
So I think we need to target broadly. So if we only have NPM packages in here, like it'll be of limited use. I do think that there is a danger that if the tooling, so if the tooling is garbage, and we keep like saying, oh, you have all these vulnerabilities, and it turns out that they're in like example code or unit tests and things like that, that people will rightly no longer trust the assertion signed by OpenSSF because our tooling is garbage. So we need to make sure that we generate assertions that we feel good about, that accurately reflect the risk. Tools, packages. I think I'm going to make some broad assumptions that there's no like good static analysis tools for Haskell. So if you write a tool in Haskell, it's going to come back with 0 like tool findings.
Exactly.
Imagine. So does that mean that it's safer, or that it's not analyzable? And I think that we could very easily create a policy that that accounts for that. So the policy would be something like, if the language contains Haskell, then so how about this? As a policy, you shouldn't use anything in a language that is not analyzable. So anything written in Haskell should flag as something, and that could be your organization's policy, and maybe not. wouldn't be a public one that we would, that I don't think we would use, but, you know, you could do that, or you could even combine the policies where you say, you know, the false positive rate on like memory corruption for C is, let's just say it's really high. So the fact that there are, you know, the density of memory corruption findings is lower than some amount, then it's considered safe. And if not, so you can absolutely go nuts in terms of the expressiveness of like what you consider how you implement that policy. One of the things that we did was, so we use Rego as a first cut policy engine, so, or policy evaluator. So it's just a command line, and you have a policy that's expressed in like, you know, you say this JSON path equals this value, for example, and it says true or false. But we also have one where it's just an arbitrary command. So you can just say like, run my own thing, and it'll either like spit back true or false, and there's some contract there. And then you'll get the whole set of assertions for the package, and you can do whatever you want with it at that point. So
I expect great result from this project for some, in particular, some programming languages like C, Java, JavaScript, and Python probably also, where we have a scanner and also we have good padding tool. So technically we can definitely run automation. The concern is just for not so popular languages that are still used, but not enough probably, or we don't have just two. But yeah, with the open policy agent, at least people can try to balance or to define what they want to see in that sort of way.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably be conservative in the types of policies that we have. I'm not sure. I mean, I could imagine organizations being more strict than the general, than general. Christine, you're on mute if you're trying to talk.
Oh, okay. So I had a question. When you had a section where you wanted to socialize with other OpenSSF, are you looking to go to other working groups like the end users working groups, because they might be interested in?
Yeah, I was thinking about, so I realized that they, if I was feeling better, I would have been up earlier and gone to it today. But yeah, I do think I don't even know where that was. Next steps. I mean, end users, I'm always confused. Is end user developers or end users? I think they were end users, right?
I believe end users would be folks who potentially could be the consumers of it, like they would be like organizations who use open source.
Yeah.
So
yes, I definitely think that they are a key stakeholder in this. Because I think most of the, well, actually, no, it is kind of jointly. So it's both on the, I think having it like organizationally fit within Omega, I think makes sense, because we're already analyzing a lot of packages anyway, and you know, this is a way that we can distribute information about the results of that stuff. But then it should absolutely be part. In fact, I will make a note of that and make sure that I get on their calendar.
Because even though you didn't mention it in there, but you might have actually implied it, is that part of adoption in terms of, I'm assuming you probably want people to share their policies, or you think people will not typically want to do that?
I think people will share their policies where they're relevant, you know, and the mental model that I have is the way that SEMGREP has their I forgot what they call it. No, not a playground, but it's like a community registry where they have their own like official ones, and then people have uploaded their own, and you as a consumer can choose like whichever ones you want to do, or you can just point to them completely privately, if you want to do that too. But yeah, I'm optimistic that for the most part, like the assertion generation isn't like super secret intellectual property. For the most part, the policies won't be either. Like which policies an organization implements internally, that's private, and I wouldn't expect them to, let us know which ones they are running, but yeah. Cool. Anything else? Wonderful. Yeah, I appreciate everybody's
Yeah,
here.
thank you. This is very good.
Cool. We just have a few minutes left. Was there anything else that anybody would like to give an update on?
We have a security engineer for Alpha Omega. It's official.
We do. Yes. Yesenia,
Yeah.
yes, sir, joined us last week. So she will be working on this project among others. So
Okay, cool.
yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, for everybody, thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's time today. Enjoy, for those of you that are off for the rest of the week, enjoy it. Those of you aren't, sorry, but you should still enjoy it. And I'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye all.
Good one. Bye.